Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Book of the Month. I'm Matt and I'm here along with
Tristan.
Tristan Skyrider Walker. I don't know. We got to give you like a cool last name.
Sure.
Tristan Pilot Destroyer. I don't know what
Uh,
like it's just I don't know what we have to give you like a really cool name like the Incisor.
Matt
Like
Solo.
Matt Solo, yes.
Yeah.
Um, so when it comes to Book of the Month, we have not been doing them monthly, but hey, better than the gaps that we had before the last episode that we did, which was Star Wars Lost Stars Volume 2, and now we are doing Star Wars Lost Stars Volume 3. By the way, we recorded that episode, I don't remember when, but it came out in late December, right before 2023. So, Happy New Year, everyone, on our Those Guys on the Radio channel. We do have other channels as well. You might see Tristan on some of those as well. You definitely will see me there. And I'll link to all of that stuff down below. But when it comes to Star Wars, if I'm going to talk to someone about Star Wars, it's either Anthony, who we haven't been able to work with in a long time, or you, Tristan.
It's gonna be me.
It's gonna be you. And so we talked about the first two volumes. Again, huge gap in between. So the first one was years back. Finally got to that second volume that I've had just sitting on my shelf, really wanting to read it, and then going, right, we can do a podcast on it since you had a little bit more time. And then here we are with volume three, the conclusion. And I don't know if it stuck the landing. Do you think it did? By the way,
I
there
think
will
it
be.
did, yeah.
By the way, there will be spoilers here for everyone. Oh, so
Yeah.
so yeah. Well, no. Before we talk about why we think it did and didn't. So then, when I say it didn't stick the landing, here's the thing, right? So I will admit that some of this is it subverted my own expectations. So that is on me for expecting X, Y, Z. But and by the way, I do think that maybe as just looking at certain chapters like separately when they were released in Japan, like I think it was a web series. So, because yes, this is based off of a novel, but the manga version is a web series, from what I understand. So, reading each chapter individually, it looked as if it might to some look as if there's going to be some big climactic battle right coming up, and then of course that didn't happen. Here though, in the volume, the way they cut volume 2 and volume 3, I genuinely thought we were going to get into this huge big battle, and then we don't. And then I was like, you know what, actually, like with the little storyline and threads and whatnot, I thought, you know what, I'm actually fine with this. So they subverted my expectations, but in a good way at first. But
Okay.
so
Yeah.
at first I
You,
was
you
like,
thought they were gonna have like their life and death duel
there, and I was like, oh my god,
in their
that's intense.
starfighters.
Yes,
Right.
and then,
Between Thane and Sienna.
and I'm not saying that they would have died, right? But still, oh my god, they're gonna have the big battle right now, and they didn't, and that was fine. Then as we go on, and with how, I guess because of the fact that I wanted the ending to either be a happy ending of everyone riding off into the sunset happy, or sadly, there is a tragic end of someone dying.
Right.
And this to me did not feel final. It felt as if it was just, and, again, spoilers are coming up. The fact that we have Sienna in jail with this, like, I totally understand that we're not supposed to think that, oh, just because this is a new government that isn't the Empire, that they're good because they are a government. But the fact that they captured her, and I totally get why they would, but they captured her and put her in jail, which again makes sense because of, what she did. And the fact that, she was working with the Empire. Like, I'm not saying
Yeah.
that she is
I mean,
without
it's
fault here.
yeah.
And I totally get why they would, imprison her and have her on trial and whatnot. It just felt like we were having this, even though this was happening in the Star Wars universe, it felt as if we were having these this kind of like lovers across space and time, not time, but across space, and they will, reunite and come together, and they always will. Of course, Thane making that very clear, talking about how like the Force always brings them together. And I guess this kind of, and I'm not speaking to Claudia Gray's writing or pacing here, just the mangas, because while this is an adaptation of her work, I'm not, it's obviously not word for word. Obviously, one was a novel, this is a manga, but
Yeah. Different mediums.
different mediums, of course. So when you look at the fact that, Thane is really like driving it home, like the Force is bringing us together, and then having it be this cruel twist of fate, if that was always the point, the cruel twist of fate of like, yes, they are both alive. Yes, they will wait for each other, which is nice, but also, and she's not going to like die in prison. They're treating her quote unquote humanely, which Thane
Yeah.
called that out. Like, okay, so what does that mean? Like, how have you been treated? But
Yeah.
I guess it just left me with a weird taste in my mouth, especially with, even though I do like the idea that Nash has been truly corrupted by the ideals of the Empire.
Holy crap.
I like it, but it was weird to write the end where it felt like they were trying to lead us into something else. Like, it didn't feel like an end for me.
Right. Well, this also, I mean, this novel came out, I believe, after episode 7 came out.
Okay.
Um,
I'll look that up. Why is that relevant?
So, well, because the idea of Nash following the fleeing Imperial forces after Jakku, after the battle on Jakku, coming back, he would then come back as part of the First Order.
Okay, so you think that they were setting up the idea that,
No,
not that he personally would be in, episode 7, but just that, like, kind of a tie-in-ish.
Yeah, like that character, like the overarching story of Star Wars still goes on outside of these characters, and that the idea, like Thane and Sienna were inserts, but you see the Star Wars story of the original trilogy basically play out in the background.
And I enjoy that so much because you have nice little cameos, but they don't overwhelm the narrative. And I've said that before. I still stick to that here, right?
Yeah, and it's all about seeing, these big events of the original trilogy play out through the eyes of characters that are kind of, outside the main cast.
Yes, I just felt as if their story did not end. And it is weird to have the end there when, as far as I know, it does not seem like there is a bunch of sequels to this novel. Or are there?
I mean, I would say this is the end of Thane and Sienna's story. I mean, I guess the idea if they go with how you're saying, like, oh, maybe they pick up and do another series, maybe the manga even just does another series where it's following them into the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, I'm not saying I want that. I'm just saying it doesn't feel as if it was a true end, and it feels quite odd because the series itself, while the original film trilogy was a backdrop, like it felt like their story would still end in some form, and everyone else would go and live their lives because this isn't about Luke and Leia and Han and Chewie, but it feels as if I did not feel like it was an end, which is odd. That's all. I would have much preferred something more final, both either in a good way or in a bad way. And to have them both be like, well, I'll still wait for you forever is kind of like, okay, so this is what I read all 3 volumes about. Is that, like, you ended where you not so much started, I guess, because they didn't necessarily start there, but it feels like this could have been, like, it feels like there could be a secret volume 4 that we just didn't know about, which there isn't, but it feels like there could be a secret volume 4. It's odd.
I mean, like, I could see it possibly, like I said, obviously that would be past the scope of the original novel, but if there was
I'm
a manga
wondering,
artist that wanted to...
not that I want to do a podcast on it, I know that your time is limited, but I kind of want to buy the original novel because I want to see if that's how she finished the original novel, or if there was some more prose there that really kind of can help sell it to me more.
Yeah.
Have you...
I mean, I kind of feel the opposite. I feel like this is the end of Thane and Sienna's story, and that they got there riding off into the sunset because both of them are just happy to be together at the very end. Like, the entire time, not the entire time, but after everything went to shit and they split, it was always the next time we meet, one of us is going to die.
But they're not together. In this moment they are, but...
Yeah. I feel like
going
they
to jail.
Will. Yes. And that's really only because she's so high-ranking. Like, she was a captain.
Yeah.
Or promoted to a captain at the end.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
and it's also has to do with the time that they captured her, because there were plenty of defectors, and they even say that. I mean, shit, Thane was a defector, and they took him in with open arms.
No, I know. I'm saying that, like, if in the prose, Gray says something or writes them as saying, "Oh, we can say that you were, made a captain at the last minute," and she's like, "Look, I took the duty on. I didn't defect early enough. That was on me." A little tiny thing like that can make me go, "Oh, okay." Versus like the idea that I guess it makes it all the more tragic that she was ready to defect, and then now she's going to be facing trial for these crimes, even though she was ready to defect at the end before she ended up getting, blown out of the fucking sky or out of space.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
like she was ready to defect, and then the explosion happened. The second Death Star exploded, and then she became like, I thought they were gonna go full Vader. I was like, what is gonna happen to her? She does not look good.
yeah, I thought so too. That was the other thing, the fact that when she regains consciousness in the end of that chapter is just Nash trying to keep her awake and stable, and she's just got shrapnel sticking out of her. I was like, holy crap, we went all the way for this one.
No, yeah,
Which I was actually kind of happy to see. I'm like, oh wow, all right, we're getting serious.
I think that all three of these volumes really showed you that, even with my issue with the end, that generally though this was not going to just be, kind of prototypical like Star Wars, like, oh hey, we can't show this, we can't show that, like it really felt as if you really got to see these characters not just fall in love, but really try to deny their love and then realize, or at least, with Sienna, and then realize that no, you can't do that. You clearly, want to be together. Obviously, it was, it's interesting because seeing one thing that Sienna said about, oh no, if I don't die here, then my family will be killed.
Yeah.
It's interesting that they wouldn't find her body if she fucking crashes the thing on the fucking...
Yeah.
So...
And I think that would be another thing they'd bring up in her trial, too. Like, that would be an angle that they would try to bring up. Being like, hey, her mother is been detained unlawfully.
Yeah.
Like, that's a part of the reason why she didn't defect sooner, too. Because she was afraid that her family would be killed, too.
Yeah. Her mom is currently in jail, and then her dad, they just...
her mom's in a labor camp.
Right, well, that's not in jail, but that's basically, like,
Yeah, she's imprisoned, but, like,
yes,
that's the Empire's version of jail.
Right,
you don't
just
go to jail, you get put to work.
Right. And then her dad, it's quote-unquote, they know where he lives, which...
Yeah.
That's fair.
Exactly.
So, yeah, again, it's something that, like, I enjoyed this volume, actually. Like, again, I enjoyed how it made me go, oh, wait, no, this isn't the end? Fantastic. And then seeing Nash really just go further and further down.
Oh, yeah. Nash went completely off the deep end.
Yes, just down the rabbit hole of truly worshiping the Empire. People use the term, a term that I've forgotten as we're talking about it.
Bootlicker?
No, Stockholm Syndrome.
Ah, yes, right.
That's the one. Dude, they destroyed Alderaan, his home planet. And he says they would have loved to have died for the Empire.
Yeah.
That is a serious case of Stockholm Syndrome. And I would know because I forgot the term. And I am not a doctor. But, no, but you see so many people use it online. And, there's so many, like, dissections of it. I'm pretty sure this is the correct version of the term, the correct definition. This idea that he is so captured by the Empire that he has truly fallen in love with them in a way that is absurd.
He's unredeemable.
Well, no, that is just absurd to onlookers.
Yeah, that's that too. And I think that's supposed to be, like, he is the contrast to Sienna, whereas Sienna is still having this war silently inside of herself, where, she still cares for Thane. She realizes that the Empire is not what she thought it was, but that she can't do anything about it because she's afraid for her family's safety. Nash doesn't have that anchor. Like, Nash's family is gone. His planet's gone. There's nothing keeping him from falling into the despair that Thane talks about, like, to his other co-pilot when they're going on to the Star Destroyer to get Sienna out. saying that, you know, she always has this light deep down inside of her that she can't snuff out even if she wanted to. Nash is the foil to that. Nash has just fallen completely into despair to the point of delusion and just becoming a psychopath.
And he can just make straight up fan fiction because that anchor isn't there.
Right.
So
and that's another, when she's in the hospital and she looks for her sister's bracelet on her arm. That's another one too. She's like, that's the only rule I ever broke, you know, and I did it silently, and like no one ever, you know, no one found it, no one questioned me. I wasn't a worse soldier for it. And Nash is like, oh, that? I threw it away for you.
Yeah.
You don't need that.
That
and just the look of sheer horror on her face.
So that I liked a lot, because here's the thing. Before that scene, when she was talking to them about Alderaan, and of course, you know, Nash, this isn't when he, like, got angry. This is just kind of when he was like, oh, you know, like, you know, I think that they would be happy. He wasn't angry at this point in the novel, in the manga. He was actually a bit more calm about it. I felt weird that she immediately, I totally get why she would, but it was kind of just looking at the pacing. Like, yes, she's had her struggles and she's had her inner turmoil about the Empire and earlier graphic novels or an earlier manga. But the thing is, though, in my opinion, when you look at the shift between volume 2 and 3, to me, it felt like she was a bit more solid in it. And so it felt weird that, especially, you know, with that end, that cliffhanger with between volume 2 and 3. So it was kind of odd how that was the big thing that completely destroyed everything in a way that was like, oh, wow, this was kind of quick. Like, the pacing was a little off to me until we got that scene where she already was, you know, wanting to defect, but the solidifier right there was, oh my God, you threw away the one fucking keepsake I had from my sister. How fucking dare you?
And I don't know, I would even argue that even before that, when she sees the second Death Star.
Well, no, that shook her. Well, that shook her in the same way that Vader's energy and Palpatine's energy shook her, but it didn't. It didn't make her like go full on defector. It just shook her.
That was another cool quip too.
Yes,
just her like comparison between Vader and the Emperor. She was like, "Oh yeah, Vader was terrifying, but the Emperor is like, I can't even put into words the level of maliciousness I feel from that man."
I raised
and the fact that she's like, he looks nothing like he does, you know, like he's presented as, because that's all propaganda.
Yeah.
Like, the Emperor is made to look like this benevolent, you know, lovely little old man, you know, in the Hollows. And then you see him in person, and you're like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck is that? Did it just crawl out of a coffin?
It's so funny, because what made me kind of, like, raise an eyebrow was, and I don't know what it was in Japanese, I don't have the Japanese manga, but when he called Vader his friend, I was like, well, hold on there.
Oh, yeah, no, that's straight out of Return of the Jedi.
Oh, it is? It's been a while. Okay, so he calls him friend.
He does. He's Rise, my friend.
Because
that's the line.
You want to know why? Because of the recontextualization of just everything in Star Wars. I'm just like, his friend.
Yeah, no, that's fair, yeah.
It's right out of the fucking...
it's honestly... I mean, if you know Palpatine enough, it's almost a jab.
That's
just
why.
Hearing that from him, too.
Get up, asshole.
Yeah,
fuck you
like,
too,
it
old
would
man.
It would almost be better if the Emperor berated him, I feel like. But the fact that he's, like, on a good day, he's like, oh, yeah, we're buddies. And Vader's just like...
What I find hilarious is that, and obviously it had to happen because, I mean, you know, it happens not just in the movies, but it also happens in, you know, in other fiction and real life as well. Like, you know, just because the Emperor and his second in command are dead does not mean that the fight doesn't go on. Especially, you know, even if they're considered like the rebel forces in terms of size at that point, the fight still goes on. It's just really funny to me for them to be like... It
only gets worse after the Emperor dies.
No, but it's just really funny to me to just be like, hey, everybody, so we're still fighting on. We're still trucking on. You know, we're the Empire. We're doing great. So Emperor Palpatine, y'all remember him, right? Yes, so funeral's on Thursday. And we're actually doing a double... Because Lord Vader is also
Vader's dead too.
Dead as well.
Yeah.
And don't worry, if any of you guys die too, we will not be mourning you. Long live the Empire. Like,
Basically.
oh my, like the fact that Sienna, and I find it wonderful, just her little critiques and noticing how, she already noticed the cracks from just the general, oh, hey, I hate this place sucks. But noticing it as a sinking ship going,
Oh yeah, when she comes out of when she's returned to active duty.
yeah, and she, first of all, they didn't really pick up on this, at least, in this manga, but I picked up on it, or at least I think this is what they were putting down when, Nash is like, wait, you're moving around? At first I took it as, oh, you shouldn't be up, and Nash kind of has this weird thing for her. But when she's actually moving around with that weird apparatus on her and everything, and, they've made her captain, and she said out loud, yes, oh, if they're making me captain and I'm not even like 25, this is not good. But I took it as, oh my god, the droids that told her, you're fine to go. Is she really even fine to go? Or are they just like, look, we need bodies?
Basically, yeah.
Like, yeah.
She even points out.
No, yeah, she did.
When she gets command of the Star Destroyer, too.
No, she did. That's what I'm saying. She's, the Star Destroyer, right.
Yeah, well, I mean, the kids that she's working with,
yes,
like the kid who's reading out, oh, the engines are down 60%, and she's like, this kid hasn't even finished basic training. Holy shit.
He's literally like fucking 17.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
and that scene too, where it looks like she's about to strike him, and then she just puts her hand on his shoulder. Again, showing her true character.
She's changed, or not. That's a funny thing. She hasn't changed. She's changed back.
Yeah, she's like, she knows it's not his. Any other officer would have just, smacked him across the face.
Yeah.
She's still like, yeah, we're part of this we're part of this evil militaristic machine, but like, you and I are still human beings. Like, I'm not going to. He's literally on the verge of tears, and she's just like, calm down. Like, give me the report. It'll be okay.
And then, and she made a great point. And that's the thing, like, with the Empire, like, how a society like that, a structure like that, is not built to... It's too big to fail, and then it does.
Yeah.
And when it does...
it's self-destructive, too.
Well, it literally is. But it's the idea that, like, they weren't even built to have them run... to live, to continue the Empire. It's just, no, all of you should die here. And it's like, your numbers are so low that, like, don't get me wrong, I'm happy they were all gonna die there. Other than Sienna,
that was actually the whole idea behind the Battle of Jakku was actually it's another novel series, which the Aftermath trilogy. Well, they talk about specifically, like, the Battle of Jakku. Like, the Empire is basically purging its ranks because Palpatine left the final message of, well, if I'm dead, then the Empire doesn't deserve to live, and everyone else needs to die, so res the entire galaxy to the ground.
Well, hold on. Did he know that he was still alive when he sent out that message? He's still alive. Come on, but...
well, no.
I know,
no.
I'm kidding.
But that was the idea that...
Yes.
Anything else that escapes after Jakku, like, the chosen ones would leave Jakku and they go out into the middle of nowhere, and then they rise as the First Order to be like, we are the true believers, and that's why they're so fucking zealous,
right,
in the sequels.
Bunch of assholes.
Oh yeah, definitely the worst of the worst, because even the people who stayed on after the second Death Star, Operation Cinder was basically, res the entire galaxy to the ground. The people who stayed at that point, when they got that order, they're like, how about no? I didn't, we didn't sign up for this.
Yeah.
We're attacking loyal planets too. He says, oh yes, I'm aware. Well, that's a big problem there, friendo.
But yeah, I enjoyed, like I said before, I wish the ending was a little bit different, but I do enjoy, again, looking at Nash and his weird kind of thing, like this weird kind of control obsession with not wanting to lose anyone else, but when faced with them, instead of going, oh my god, you're alive, you stupid idiot, it's, I guess I'm not gonna cry at your next funeral,
Oh yeah.
Holy shit.
I mean, even in that space fight, in that dogfight, when he realizes that Thane's alive, oh god, he's out for blood immediately.
Yeah, and I want to speak to the dogfight for a second. I actually wasn't a big fan of it because of how slow it was. So because of the way that it was drawn and written for this manga, I'm kind of happy that it wasn't the big conclusion because
Yeah,
there was so much like this is gonna sound silly because just movies and cartoons and stuff, but there was so much thinking, which is good. But with so much thinking and so much discussion, it had me sitting there going, "Look, I get suspension of disbelief, but oh my god." Like the fact that Thane was like, "Oh no, because I thought for too long, that's why I was shot." And it's like, "Yes, Thane, you should be dead. You have
yeah,
because it's a story about you. I don't want him to die, but like I don't want Sienna to die. But like my god, the main character plot armor was so fucking thick during that scene that I was like, you know what? I'm kind of happy that it wasn't the end all be all because there would just be a bunch of people talking for so long. There would have been some more fast paced stuff, but it would have been so much talking for so long that I want that to happen, right? I want there to be character development, but having it
yeah,
happen in the ships during a dogfight during this really important battle, I was like, okay, y'all,
yeah.
we
Well,
gotta move around a little bit.
yeah. I mean, that's basically. It's funny. It kind of reminds me of like Toriyama writing a tournament arc. Like it's less
Yes,
about the fight itself, more of how the
for
fight progresses the storyline.
yes, and for those who are like, who is Toriyama? Akira Toriyama, the
Akira, yeah,
creator of Dragon Ball, and arguably Dragon Ball Z. In the U.S., the manga was split as Dragon Ball Z, and he is the one consulting, not necessarily writing scripts, but consulting for the Dragon Ball Super manga, the sequel to Dragon Ball. But he's not writing the scripts outright, as far as I know. But he is consulting.
yeah,
Yeah. And so, and of course, also he's when it comes to his artwork, fantastic artwork. Also did the artwork for Dragon Quest, Blue Dragon, a lot of dragon theming, as you can see. And he's just a fantastic artist. So and also did Doctor Slump as well. A lot of stuff. Prolific artist, especially in Japan. So yes, he the way he does fights in specific tournaments because Dragon Ball Z, a lot of fighting in it. He does do them to service the story, and with the dialogue in it, sometimes you also sit there and you're like, they're talking for a while. So yeah, I get where you're coming from. It is done in that way as well. To service the story, you slow things down a little bit. It was just,
yeah.
again, because of that gap, because of
Yeah,
that.
if Sienna
cliffhanger.
hadn't taken that pot shot at Nash too, like Nash would have definitely vaporized Thane.
Of course, but because of that cliffhanger in Volume 2, something that would not have been there been as dramatic if you're just reading the
Yeah,
chapters separately.
that's true. Yeah,
It made me be like, this is the big fight. Everyone, the big fight is happening here. Wait a minute, no, it's not. It's like the narrator for Clone Wars. This shit is getting real. Wait a minute,
yeah.
no, it's not. My bad.
Not yet. That happens in the next episode.
How funny is it? And it's not really haha funny, but it just hit me like I shouldn't have laughed, but because I felt sad, but I was kind of laughing. It's like this big scene for everyone else, this wonderful victory for everyone. They're like, yeah, woohoo, everybody, we're fucking chilling with these fucking teddy bears. Fuck yeah.
With the Ewoks, yeah.
And then Thane is just like, all around me are familiar faces. Like, just the saddest shit is happening to this one dude. And,
Yeah.
but in the context, just the juxtaposition of this wonderful, like, I don't know, just imagine, like, like during the scene where Chewbacca doesn't get a fucking medal. Everyone gets a medal, right, except Chewbacca. And one person in the audience is just like, yeah, no, my wife's dead.
Yeah.
Like just like it's just like, okay, oh Jesus Christ, like it's a zoom in that throughout the most 2/3 of the series, all 3 volumes, 2/3 of the series, I was like, wow, it's so fascinating to see. Like I didn't laugh. There's no reason to laugh. But in this one thing I've seen, for some reason, I think it's just because we know it as this really fun time. Luke is like, Luke is smiling and everyone's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
He's like, I see ghosts. That scene, and Thane is just like, shit really fucking sucks right now.
Yeah. I mean, literally, it's a full page of him
Yeah.
on his knees,
No, when he was
sobbing and screaming
yeah,
into the air.
and I was like tearing up. Like it got
Oh
me.
yeah, no,
Don't
I that brought me to tears.
don't get me wrong, it
Not gonna
got
lie.
me. It's just that everything before it, those few pages before it, because they're trying to evoke, our sense of
Right.
nostalgia, seeing
Yeah,
these,
of the ending of Return of the Jedi.
yeah, so seeing certain scenes with the context of, hey, I know everyone's fucking happy. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer here. Don't want to be a bit of an asshole. Okay, but I lost everything,
Well,
and like, there's
that's why he like walks off away too from like everybody
can
else.
I just say, and I don't want to shit on newer Star Wars media here. I'm just gonna say one thing. Reading this, I'm so happy that Thane was able to step away and have his moment, because in a newer Star Wars thing, if it was live action, which by the way I do think that this would translate well to live action, very short limited series, I think it would translate well. But you know what would fucking ruin it? When Thane is just feeling bad and he's about to walk away, and then, oh my god, who's asking him if he's okay? Luke Skywalker, everybody. Let's start clapping. And Luke goes, what's wrong, person I've never met? Well, person I've never met who for some reason got an applause break. My girlfriend died and I'm really sad about that. And he's like, well, worse things have happened to me. I mean, hey, I had to kill my own dad today.
Yeah, he just goes, wow, that's
don't-
rough, buddy.
like, we don't
Yeah, my
need-
dad died too.
We don't need any
Who
of
was
that.
your dad?
Well, who was your girlfriend?
Oh my god, they can actually bond over that. That's hilarious.
What made these two white twinks uncomfortable at this party, at this work function?
Oh my god.
What made them uncomfortable? Is it who they're related to?
Oh my
Anyway,
god.
all I'm trying to say is that I am very, very, very happy that the cameos did not get in their own way. Like the Lando cameo was nice, right? I was like, hey, I said A out loud to myself.
Yeah.
Alone.
We got Lando, we got General Riken,
But
we got everybody at the end.
none of it, in my opinion, got in its own way and didn't, it serviced the story and it did not stop the main story that we were... Like, I have issues with the end, but none of it was because of Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, Lando. Like, everyone did their thing in those small little cameos and it was fine. Again, much better than, in my opinion, in newer live-action Star Wars, we can't just have someone in the background. No. Luke would have to come up himself. To be fair, earlier in the first volume, Han did have that scene. But again, it was, you see the scene of him and Chewie in the front, and then they kind of, in a way, pans to the back, right? Not if this was, a live-action Disney Plus show. Oh, no. It would be like Star Wars, Lost Stars. And, out of a 6-episode series, 2 of them would be about Thane and Sienna. And the other 4 would somehow manage to be AI, Luke, Leia, and Han.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I'm sorry to be unnecessary.
Scenes were structured differently, but you're not wrong either.
I'm sorry to be...
I can't outwardly tell you're wrong.
I'm sorry to be unnecessarily mean to the Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett out of nowhere.
It's fine, man. I get it. Like, those are criticisms, and that's fine.
No, of course. What I'm getting at, though, is that, I am saying I'm sorry because we're having a good time. We're at the party with the fucking Ewoks, and then I come out, and I'm like, by the way, let's talk about the fucking Mandalorian.
You just punch the wall like Nash did, saying, you don't think she deserved a medal? She died for the service of the Empire?
You don't think he deserved a season? He died in the mouth of a... He did not deserve to share screen time with the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda. He deserved his own season. It was not for nothing. It was called the Book of Boba Fett. I immediately fall to anger. You know what's really funny? I haven't seen the season yet. I've only heard things online. I got to sit down and watch it. And once I do, we could maybe find the time to do a podcast on it. But when it comes to Lost Stars, the topic, it's in the thumbnail and the title of the video. Or if you're listening to this through our Podbean, thank you. It's also in the thumbnail and the title of the video. I think that I would recommend this to people.
Yeah, I would too.
Again, I have my issues, but I think that it didn't sour. This volume did not sour the 3 book set, the 3 manga volume set, and I think it's just such a nice, quick, short read. Yes, there's a lot of different kind of manga out there, so not all of them are like huge epics or anything like that. But it does seem like even the ones that aren't huge epics for the most part, unless they're like done in omnibus form, it still does seem like you're buying like 7, 10, 12 volume sets, if we're talking about manga here specifically. Obviously comics really throw everything off because of course they have their own a lot of standalone graphic novels. So, and they do for manga as well. It's just that usually from what I see from manga, it's like if they aren't done in omnibus form, you're even at the lowest, you're getting into like close to like 10 volumes. And it's like, okay, this is a lot. 3 volumes? Not a lot at all.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a nice, easy read. Not that you're gonna finish all 3 in like one day, not that easy, but like one per night over like 3 days. I think it's gonna feel really nice. You're gonna really be on the edge of your seat, wanting to maybe even kind of going, maybe I'll read a volume in one extra chapter to feel satisfied, because they really get you with the cliffhangers. But overall, even with my issues, I think that they are simply my own. I think that like you Tristan, you found solace in their end. And how they came together. Even if this is their fate, they are together in it.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that this volume brought me to tears twice.
Yes, I wanted them to kiss.
I'm
fine.
Yeah, no, I get that.
I'm fine. We're all good.
I think them. Basically, I like them holding their hands up to each other between the force field, just in the back of Thane's mind. Yeah, don't touch the electrical field. Got it.
You just hear someone. You hear Luke Skywalker in the background. Seriously, just saying. Yeah. As someone here who's lost a hand,
and also been electrocuted,
I highly suggest. Thanks, Luke.
Don't do it. Yeah, I just found the last scene of them, I'll wait for you. The fact that Thane is actually finally able to reach her again, Sienna, and that she actually breaks down and is willing to allow herself a future at that point, to be like, will you wait for me? And he goes, of course I will.
No, you're not wrong. I think
and
I'm
it's
gonna
funny,
reread
he doesn't say that specifically either.
No, but
he says, yeah, that's fine. And like
I'm gonna try to reread all 3 volumes and kind of get like a bigger, because it has been since December since I read the 2nd volume, so I'm gonna try to reread all 3. Granted, when we did the 2nd podcast or the 2nd episode for volume 2 of just doing all these 3, I did reread the first one, but I didn't do it this time because I felt like I retained it all. But there might be little things that like if I reread it, it'll kind of like bring me to where you were, because I did not cry at the end. I see where you're coming from, but I just felt like, I think I'm getting in my own way, just wanting the ending
and
to be different.
I mean, that was also the first time that I read it too. Like this time I didn't cry, but I know the story. Oh,
okay, so. Yes. Right. How many times have you read it? Because I know you're a big Star Wars guy.
Yeah, I mean, this is my 2nd time reading it through.
Oh, okay. So then the first time you got it was when?
Probably a few years ago now.
Okay, because I remember
not too long ago.
Did you get it for the podcast and we just never got around to it? Because I know you had the first one.
No, I think I picked it. Like I picked it up. I picked up the first one and I talked about it with you, and then I think I had either mentioned it was only, or you mentioned it was only 3 volumes, and you're like, hey, that would be something great to do. To do for the podcast, and I was like, actually, you know what? It's actually an interesting take on known events.
I don't mean the first one. The first one you picked up separately. I meant the 3rd one, because I don't think the 3rd one was out at the time when we actually talked about doing this.
No, it wasn't yet.
Wow.
I mean, I had already planned to pick it up anyway.
Of course,
I also wanted to pick it up to podcast on.
And then years went by. But you know what? I think this was worth the wait.
Yeah.
Aha.
Yeah, I think so too. No, I see what you did there.
No, actually, it's funny. I wasn't, and then it hit me, and then I was like, "I'm gonna run with it, Chewie. I'm gonna run with it." Chewie, just please. I'm gonna run with it. Come on, Chewie. We gotta run with it. Yeah, no, I do think that it was worth the wait. Like I said earlier, I suggest you all check it out, and do not let me talking about this volume, the end of it, deter you. I definitely think that you should check it out, and I think that it is just a perfect way to focus on two new characters in a huge universe and not get lost in the weeds of said universe. And also to just fully acknowledge, yes, there is a huge universe, obviously it's Star Wars, to kind of focus your story around, right? So, like, in theory, yes, they could have not chosen this particular time period. But I like that because that they did. They're like, hey, look, here's your nice little things in the background, but like I've been saying over and over, we're focusing on these new characters. And regardless of me liking the end or not, while I said that it was weird and that it feels like there could be more, even though I'm not saying that there should be more, it is an end. It's just, an odd one, in my opinion. But it is an end, so it's definitely something that you should check out. And before we wrap this up, I do want to mention one thing. Earlier in the podcast, Tristan, you mentioned that Palpatine, when he appeared, it was like he came out of a coffin, because that's how he was drawn. He was drawn like a mummy.
Yeah. Yes.
So just the same way that we praise the artist for this volume, when the way that they drew Vader in volume 2, I think drawing Palpatine is like the exact opposite, where like Vader was like a kaiju, and in a way Palpatine is kind of like more like a mummy, like the undead come to life, a zombie. Truly, like it was fascinating as a way to draw him. I wasn't a big fan of the aura scene when they panned out, because it was just like I don't know if it's nothing against Yen Press in particular, but like on different quality paper it would have, I think, stand out more. Like sort of like the black aura around him would have popped because his cloak is black. So it didn't really pop as well, I feel, but like as the way that it did with Vader, like that close up of Vader was like in volume 2 was extremely fucking intense. But generally though, just his face though, like the actual full body shot before they got to the aura thing of Palpatine's face, I was like, oh my goodness, this man might be a member of the royal family. He looks unwell. Right. He's like literally, if you swap him with like, what is it, Prince Andrews, probably couldn't tell the difference. Anyway, so what a way to end a podcast. So I want to thank you all so much for listening in. We don't know when the next one will come out, but I will tell you this much, though. If you like and subscribe, if you follow us both on our Those Guys on the Radio channel and also on our Podbean as well, I'll be linking both down below. So wherever you're seeing this, you should get a link to the other one. We'll talk about, and we will tell you, and also, by the way, social media stuff as well. We'll talk about when we will be doing the next episode, which hopefully will also be Star Wars related. Not a book of the month, but just a general Star Wars Wednesday, a Through the Force episode. Hopefully we will be doing a Book of Boba Fett, but our schedules have to align like lost stars.
I was hoping you weren't going to make the stars align joke, but it was there.
I wasn't going to, but it came to me in a dream.
I know.
I woke up.
A vision?
I woke up, yes.
Hard to see the future is.
That's how I felt, yes. No, but for real, though, we're going to have to work something out because I definitely want to talk some more Star Wars with you, but...
only a Sith deals in absolutes.
But our schedules, man. Speaking of absolutes, our absolutely fucked schedules. But that's not...
I hate you!
That's neither just your shifts at work. I hate you!
Basically, yes. I'm filled with nothing but hatred and malice.
And then your shifts at work yell back at you. I hate you.
Yeah, it's like an echo chamber.
Yeah. So either way, though, before we get lost in this for like another half an hour, again, thank you all so much. Love you all. Take care. Hope you tune in next time. And may the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.